We're back at it talking about the Philadelphia Eagles because that's what we do every single day year-round. You're watching Eagles Now. My name is Chase Sr. No matter where you are, how you're tuned in, thank you so much for making today's show a part of your day. And what we're getting into here, a little bit of good, a little bit of bad injury news for the Birds going into this Week 2 game against the Kansas City Chiefs. And for Kansas City, they could be getting a boost. Here's everything that we're discussing here. Dallas Goedert is hurt again. A.J. Brown explains what happened on opening night against the Dallas Cowboys and why he only got targeted one time. Colin Cowherd said some crazy things about A.J. Brown on the herd today. Have to react to that. And as I mentioned, positive Chiefs injury news, which could impact this game on Sunday at Arrowhead Stadium. Before we get to all of that, subscribe to the channel. It's free, and when you do hit that sub button, it keeps the channel free. I'm never going to put this content behind a paywall, but we want to continue to build, set the standard here on YouTube, and do some special things. I also want to say thank you to all of the legends out there for hitting that subscribe button and supporting the channel. We surpassed yesterday 127,000 subscribers, so if you haven't subscribed, do so right now. Let's begin with Dallas Goedert here. Elliott Shore Parks, 94 WIP, with this report yesterday after we had signed off from our live show that Goedert is hurt again and his status for Sunday's game is unknown. And then we got another update today from the Eagles practice. Here is that report from Elliott. Dallas Goedert has a knee sprain that has his status versus Kansas City up in the air, per league sources. The team will see how he progresses this week. It is not believed to be a long-term injury that will keep him sidelined for long, if at all. Goedert had a team-high 7 catches in Week 1 in that win over the Cowboys. And look, I know what you're all thinking. Hearing about another Dallas Goedert injury. Chase, he's hurt again. This is the issue with Goedert. Great player since the Eagles drafted him in the second round in 2018. He's so valuable to what the Eagles do in the pass game and in the run game because he's a terrific blocker, one of the best all-around tight ends in the NFL. But this is the truth. He's a very fragile player. And his best ability is not availability. And this is the reason why the Philadelphia Eagles were not willing to give him a contract extension this offseason. He wanted a long-term deal going into 2025, the final year of his contract, but the Eagles looked at the player and all of the games that he's missed, and they say, look, we know how valuable you are, second in franchise history in playoff receiving yards, but if we are to invest in you, we need to be able to count on you. Philadelphia can't count on Dallas Goedert to stay healthy. He did not practice on Wednesday, and then the Eagles practice just wrapped up. Goedert did not practice today either. And here is injury woes since he was that second-round pick in 2018, following the 2017 season when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and Philadelphia drafted him at the time because they knew that Zach Ertz's career with Philadelphia was starting to come to an end. Rookie year, played sparingly, missed 0 games. 2019, missed 1 game, off to a good start. Here's where the injury problems have started to rack up and started to, at the time, rack up. Missed 5 games in 2020, missed 2 games in 2021, missed 5 games in 2022, missed 3 games in 2023, missed 7 games last year with hamstring and knee problems. That is 23 missed games since his second year in 2019. And what's unfortunate about this, a couple of reasons, right? Goedert had a great camp, very motivated. Jalen Hurts loves him. When Goedert was dealing with these contract problems with the Eagles, he was looking for that deal. Eagles weren't willing to give it to him, and then obviously they decreased his pay to a certain degree and restructured that contract going into 2025. Hurts advocated for Goedert to come back because he understood and knew and realized how important Goedert is to their offensive operation. And I love Goedert as a player. So fun to watch him play. And it's very rare nowadays, outside of like Goedert and Kittle, to see tight ends who are well-rounded like Goedert and Kittle are, because they're so gifted as pass catchers, being able to pick up yards after the catch with how physical they are. But Kittle and Goedert, by far, above any tight end in the NFL who is a great weapon as a receiver, they are both such valuable blockers. And look, nowadays, teams draft tight ends oftentimes who are just used as kind of slot wide receivers. They don't really block. Now, Tyler Warren, former Penn Stater, now with the Colts, got off to a good start in week 1, catching passes from Daniel Jones, has the potential and the opportunity to be that kind of guy, but he's played 1 game. And so Goedert's value was on display in week 1 against the Cowboys. And again, we're not sure if he's going to be out against Kansas City, but if he is, it does impact this Eagles offense. You're taking a legitimate weapon off of the field. 7 targets against the Cowboys, caught all 7 catches. And you might be saying, Chase, only 44 yards receiving, 6.3 yards per catch. True if you're just a casual and you look at the numbers. But if you watch that game, every one of Goedert's touches and catches was impactful in the moment. It meant something. It kept drives moving. It kept the chains moving. And those were big plays throughout the game, especially because Hurts was targeting him underneath because A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith couldn't really get open downfield. The only splash play the Eagles had through the air was the 51-yarder from Hurts to Jahan Dotson when he got behind the defense. And so another thing with Goedert, it's not just him individually as a blocker, which can impact the entire Eagles rushing attack. It's the inability for the tight ends behind him to block well. There's been all this talk on Eagles Twitter this week about the Eagles running into heavy boxes. Kevin Patullo said, I don't think we've run into heavy boxes. It's a combination of both. The Eagles like to do that to run routes out of those types of sets. But yes, they were running into heavy boxes in some of these 2 tight end sets. And you know what a problem is? Grant Calcaterra's inability to get better as a blocker. And so when you take Goedert off the field, safety valve, safety blanket for Hurts. He can pick up yards after the catch. If you target him in the red zone, usually he can draw a mismatch. But it's also him impacting the run game and the other tight ends' inability to step up in the blocking game. It is a Super Bowl 59 rematch on Sunday. I can't wait for it. We'll be live for another watch party right here on Eagles Now. Who you got in this game? E for the Eagles, C for the Chiefs. I gave you my prediction in our preview. Check that video out. It's up on the channel right now. Still to come here on the show, A.J. Brown explained what happened against the Cowboys and why he only had 1 target. What Colin Cowherd said today about A.J. Brown is classic mainstream national media, just not having a pulse on what actually is happening inside the city of brotherly love. And then the Chiefs could get a boost in this game on Sunday to really test this Eagles defense. Our sponsor for today's show, our friends at Chubbies. Thank you so much to them for making today's show possible. We have a great deal that we want to tell you about. If you really like those Eagles Chubbies polos that I've been wearing, those are the ones with the vibrant colors and the really unique designs. You can find them at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. And when you use the code chatsports, you get $10 off your purchase. Yeah, you heard that right. The leaves are turning. Temperatures are dropping. The weekend air is getting that nice autumn crisp. This is what football season is all about. What a great time of the year. Just because the weather is changing over doesn't mean you have to pack away the fun. Chubbies is here to make sure your fall wardrobe hits hard and it enhances your wardrobe. Soft, stretchy, fall-ready staples built for maximum comfort and minimal effort. That's what Chubbies is all about. And their fall collection dropped on September 9th. Check it out using our link and our code. You get $10 off. It's packed with cozy gear that brings the metaphorical and real heat. Later this month, they're launching the new Comfort Collection featuring the Everywhere Jogger. Who doesn't love a good jogger during the fall and winter months? It's the perfect pant for impromptu naps, weekend errands, watching some football, heading out to a bar to watch more Eagles football and college football, and everything in between. Chubby's Original Stretch Shorts, Classic Line Swim Trunks, Chubby's Performance Polos, joggers coming out later this month. Chubby's has it all. Whether you're layering up for tailgates, lounging through lazy Sundays, or just leaning fully into fall comfort, Chubby's has you covered. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our listeners $10 off your order using the code CHATSPORTS at chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. That's code CHATSPORTS. Using that link, support the show. Let them know that we sent you all types of different designs and looks. chubbyshorts.com/chatsports. All right, to the second half of the show here. What happened to A.J. Brown in week 1? Why did he only have 1 target, for one catch. Why couldn't he get open? Was he injured? A.J. Brown answered all of these questions on a podcast with Jordan Schultz, the NFL insider. And this was a little bit alarming, right? You look at A.J. Brown's stat sheet against the Cowboys, and for a player who's a top 3 wideout, who's been an all-pro every year that he's been with the Eagles, who is so good against man coverage and is one of the more difficult players to cover in the NFL and to bring down after the catch, why couldn't he get open, and why was he only targeted one time in the game? Now, his lone catch in that game, one catch for 8 yards, a huge play in that game to make it a short yardage situation, allowing Philadelphia to move the chains. But Dallas did a really good job of taking him away. And AJ, with Jordan Schultz, answered a lot of the lingering questions that we have. None of those things are true, AJ said. I got zoned, meaning the defense was playing zone the entire game. I did not get one single man rep. Obviously, there's not going to be any separation when you're playing against a zone defense. I'm not hurt. I wasn't a decoy. It's just how the game went. Just know I'm excited for week 2. Sometimes we just have to think about it in this way, right? There isn't always an answer to all of the questions that we have. And there's not always something that's going on. Maybe it just comes down to this. The Cowboys were playing zone. They were bracketing A.J. Brown all night, and that's why he couldn't get open. The Cowboys' plan going into that game, do not let A.J. Brown beat us. And we're about to show you the win-loss record that the Eagles have with A.J. Brown. He directly results in wins and losses. And the Eagles' pass game as a whole really didn't do all that much all throughout the night. Remember how lackluster the Eagles' offense was early in the year last year? They don't play it all in the preseason. It takes them a little while to get going and to get the wheels moving and greased up because they want to peak later as compared to early. And Nick Sirianni said something that I thought was awesome to his team. Some days, wide receivers will pop off and they will put up great production. Other games, they won't. What matters at the end of the day is winning. And if any receivers going into last year were complaining about a lack of targets, a lack of usage, winning the Super Bowl should change their entire perspective. What mattered in week 1, winning the damn game. Starting off 1-0, going to Kansas City with an opportunity to go 2-0. And A.J. Brown, every year that he's been an Eagle, has been an All-Pro, and he's put up more than 1,000 receiving yards. His numbers have been gaudy, even though the Eagles run the ball a lot. And so with that being said, I really like how A.J. Brown has handled this. I like his attitude. It's been perfect considering how other wideouts sometimes act out and at times how A.J. Brown has acted out in the past. And I'm watching and listening to The Herd today with Colin Cowherd, and he did an entire segment talking about how the Philadelphia Eagles' next move could be to trade A.J. Brown to a team like the New England Patriots. And Cowherd's reasoning, he only got one target in week 1. His last few games, he has been targeted much. How the Eagles don't throw him the ball. Colin, I love you. You're my sports talk radio GOAT. I idolize you. I want to be you someday, right? A voice that has a national reach. Again, A.J. Brown has gone over 1,000 yards every year as an Eagle. He's been an All-Pro every year as an Eagle. That wouldn't happen if he didn't put up numbers, if he didn't get opportunities, if the Eagles didn't throw him the ball. In the Super Bowl, he caught a huge touchdown in that game. The first drive of the game, on a critical 3rd down, the Eagles threw a precision deep ball from Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. It got wiped away by a bogus penalty. That impacted his stat sheet. All right, the Eagles are not trading away A.J. Brown. It would be an absolutely idiotic, asinine move to make. Look at it, what A.J. Brown's impact has been with the Eagles. The Eagles' points per game with A.J. on the field since acquiring him, 27.7 points per game. They are 38-10 with A.J. Brown on the field. Without A.J. Brown, they are 2-3, including that blowout playoff loss against the Buccaneers, and their points per game goes down to 16.2. The Eagles are in a Super Bowl window. Moving A.J. Brown would make no sense, especially to a team like the New England Patriots. Howie Roseman knows this. You're trying to maximize this special team and window right now, and trading away A.J. Brown makes you a far worse team. We round out with this. This is somewhat surprising with the reports that we were getting after the Chiefs' Brazil loss to the Chargers last Friday, because Xavier Worthy going into year 2 looked at as an electrifying playmaker, and he is, but he separated his shoulder on a crossing route when he collided with Travis Kelce. I saw Xavier Worthy at the NFL Combine 2 years ago. He is a small dude. I mean, he might look small on TV. He's even smaller in person. Him colliding with Travis Kelce, who's like 240, 250 pounds, that is a highway collision, separated his shoulder. And so the thought was going to be that he could be out for multiple weeks. He was going to get a second opinion, maybe get surgery, maybe try to play through it with the brace. Surprising development today in Kansas City. He returned to practice. Now, has a brace, and you could tell there is a heavy wrap on that right shoulder, but he's got an opportunity to play. And if he plays, this is a very dynamic weapon that Patrick Mahomes now has at his disposal, because for a little while there, we thought the Chiefs were going to be without Xavier Worthy and obviously Rashee Rice, who's their number one because he's suspended right now, and that could really limit the Chiefs' offensive attack. Xavier Worthy plays, the mere threat of the vertical option really changes what Kansas City wants to do on offense. Xavier Worthy putting up an Instagram story, free one. Looks as though he's going to play in this game on Sunday. Don't forget to give me a follow on X and Instagram. Always Talking Eagles here on YouTube. Additional and more free content on my social media pages.